The terrorist attacks in Paris have led to widespread worry throughout the Muslim community, many fearing a backlash caused by fear-mongering. Social media has seen a large spike since the attacks involving anti-Islam rhetoric. Reactions are indifferent in the Muslim community. Pakistan has condemned the attacks, but in the town of Peshawar, rallies were held celebrating the shooters. Many Muslims in France have said that they refuse to embrace the slogan, "I am Charlie," saying that the depiction of the Prophet Muhammad was mockery. But murder is not an answer. A spokesperson for the Council on American Islamic Relations says that not enough is being done to stop Islamophobia in the States.
Islamophobia is becoming widespread in our society. We don't see leadership. We don't see political leadership, religious leadership, or civic leadership that's willing to stand and push against hate. Hate mongering in America is becoming, unfortunately, accepted. And this is not a problem only to Muslims. It's a problem for us as Americans.
France is not standing down on the war against terror. 54 people have been arrested for defending the most recent attacks in France. Out of those apprehended, 4 were minors, and several had previous convictions, including terrorism. None of those detained were found to have links to the attacks, but were arrested based on France's tough laws regarding hate. Since the attacks, the country has deployed nearly 10,000 troops to protect areas that may be seen as targets for militants. The French police believe that there could be up to 6 more people at large that had involvement with the Charlie Hebdo and kosher supermarket attacks. The government is also working on new laws for phone tapping and other tracking devices in order to fight terrorism. French President François Hollande said that the country will be helping the U.S. coalition against the Islamic State. At the funeral for one of the terror victims, Hollande spoke on behalf of the country.
Thanks to them, thanks to you, freedom won over barbarism.
An official claim has been made in the recent Paris attacks. For more on this, we turn to Gary Franchi.
A Yemen-based branch of al-Qaeda has taken responsibility for the deadly onslaught that killed 12. A senior leader of the group released a video saying that not only did they order the attack, but also planned and helped to fund it. And according to the video, the shooting was done in retaliation for Charlie Hebdo's multiple publications of the cartoons illustrating of the Prophet Muhammad. The magazine has retaliated this week with their first publication since the incident. Over 3 million printed copies are set to be sold in 17 different languages, with the cover depicting the Prophet Muhammad once again. And this time he's holding a sign reading, "Je suis Charlie," I am Charlie.
New comments from Turkish President Recep Erdogan has some government officials on edge. In a recent speech from Erdogan, he suggests that the French authorities are to blame for the attacks in Paris. He questioned the French on their observation of prisoners, saying, "Doesn't their intelligence organization track those who leave prison?" He also says that the West is playing games with the Islamic world. Erdogan expressed his anger at Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's appearance at the recent Paris rally, calling the West's hypocrisy obvious.
How do you feel when a man who carried out state terrorism by killing 2,500 people waves at a crowd? He waves at a crowd as if people are waving for him in great excitement. I cannot fathom how he could have gone there. You should first give an account for the children you have killed. The hypocrisy of the West is obvious. As Muslims, we never stood up for terrorism. We never stood up for massacres. But it is racism, hatred, and Islamophobia that lie beneath these massacres. Officials of these countries where our mosques are attacked should take measures against these incidents.
The newest deal between U.S. and Cuba is leaving some former prisoners very unhappy. The most recent talks between the two countries has led to the release of over 53 Cuban prisoners. Out of those released, 38 are bound to conditional release. This means the previous prisoners must report periodically to courts supervising their release. Another 1/3 of those released are not allowed to leave the country. Some dissident leaders say that although these people are out of jail, they aren't entirely free.
They feel tied down by the law. And why? Because the fact that they have conditional freedom. The fact that some are on conditional release. The fact that the government can put them back in prison whenever they want weighs on them. They cannot feel good with this because their freedom depends on the willingness of the regime.
Many of those let go were told to stay away from opposition politics and that they can be returned to jail for minor offenses. The International Space Station is taking extreme precautions. The U.S. section of the station has been evacuated due to fears of an ammonia leak. The crew was moved into the Russian side after Mission Control saw changes in pressure. NASA says the crew is safe and they are working on a plan to handle the situation. They also said that an ammonia leak is the worst case, and this may just be a false alarm. There are 6 crew members on board the ISS, 2 of which are from the U.S. As extreme weather conditions hit the Middle East, concerns rise over the health and safety of Syrian refugees. A United Nations Children's Fund spokesman says that 6 children have died due to severe cold.
We so far have confirmation that 6 children have died, 6 casualties related to weather conditions and winter in Syria and in Lebanon. This number is probably underestimated.
Over 1 million Syrian civilians are taking refuge in Lebanon. Many of those displaced live in tents without heat. Extreme weather conditions have caused a spike in infectious disease in the area, especially in children. As winter continues its wrath, the UN is asking for help from donors to support those in need. Charges have been filed in Mexico after months of protest. Former Iguala Mayor Jose Luis Abarca, along with 44 others, have been charged with kidnapping 43 students. Due to alleged government ties to those missing, violent demonstrations have rocked the country. The Director of Criminal Investigations, Thomas Zarone, did not give specific details on how or why the arrest warrant was obtained. The students were allegedly kidnapped by police who were cooperating with a local drug gang. These are the first charges filed that are directly linked to the missing students.